Hello, I thought I'd just make a quick video to help both students and parents. I'm aware that sometimes it's tricky to support from home when you don't know the task particularly. So in terms of finding stuff, I'm on Toddle. My view's ever so slightly different to yours, but there is a formative task that has been completed, and on that formative task, if you go to completed, you will find it here. It's called class, home, F for formative, and then this is the criterion aspects for this one. If you click on there, you will see instructions that look like this. There is a task sheet. This talks students through what they should do, etc. And then there's this one, this template. When you download that, it will look like this one. Let me just get rid of that. It will look like this one. This is where the students will complete their work and what they will submit back to me for grading. Each box has got some text in it that gives students advice on what to do. I've accidentally already deleted the first one. But basically students need to put something inside each of the black boxes, and they need to answer something there. I recommend that they answer it and then delete my guidance. And then I was saying to some students today that to get the text right, if they select what they like and pick on this paintbrush, they can then paint that formatting over what they type, and then their stuff will look right. And then they can also delete all the stuff outside the box so that it looks just that little bit smarter. Not that it really matters, but I just think we should encourage our students early to start making their work look professional as best that we can, so that it's not a shock later. So that's the basic format. What I have done is created a bit of a model one to help people out. So here you can see it's not perfect, but we should have a results table, key things that people miss or do incorrectly. Make sure that if it's 1.0, it says 1.0. Often Excel, if they use it, will auto-correct it to 1, so they should try and change that. They should make sure there's headings above their ones. Lots of students are submitting back just the word independent variable, which is what the example said they need to put, but they need to replace independent variable with their one. Most students have either done height of drop or number of paper clips. So that's nice and easy. It should say one of those two things there and the units if it's height. Then above here we did 3 trials and we calculated an average, and that's all the time it took to fall to the ground, and we measured that in seconds. Don't mind quite the wording, but basically it's time. The next one, the graph, there's another video that I've shared with you about how they can create the graph and make it look correct, but it should look like this. There should be labelled axes with units. Our independent variable on the bottom, our dependent up the side. We should have our data points, minimum of 3, and we should have a trend line. That's the graph. Get rid of all the other text in that box. Then we write a conclusion. A conclusion is in grade 6, it's just one sentence saying what our results show. So for mine, as the height of drop increased, the time to fall to the floor increased. That's all it is. What do our results show us? The explanation is, why do you think that? And I've done a very basic explanation, just saying, the trend line increased, went up. I've given some numerical evidence for it, although I made that up before I made up my graph and results table. So they should pull data from their one. So they should say, like, at 0.5 meters, the average time was 0.65 seconds, not the 3 seconds that I made up in class when I was talking about it. When the height was 1.5 meters, the time was 1.22 seconds. And then they could say, if some of their points are not quite on the line, they can identify them here. So they can identify what we call anomalies, results that don't fit in with the pattern. you might, if there's not one on the graph, I've put one into my results table here, look, at 1.5 meters we had these 2 times, but then look, this third one was miles out, so we can identify that the third repeat in 1.5 meters was an anomaly. And then what we should really be doing is ignoring them, but that's a skill that grade 6 haven't learned yet. But anyway, evaluation and prediction, the first thing they do is they restate their prediction. This was submitted a while ago for their criteria B, so they'll have to go back and find it. If they can't find it, they can make a prediction and then just write that in there. And then our explanation is, do our results support our prediction? So they should talk about their data, and then they should also, for the best answer, they should try and explain the science to it. Again, I went for a very simple, short response to give you an idea of what we're looking for in that box. Again, I've deleted all the guidance around it and made the formatting look the same as all the others. Evaluation, so that was evaluating prediction. Was your prediction right? Does it fit in with what you were expecting? Does your data agree with it? Those sorts of things. Then we evaluate our method. That's the next 2 boxes. So did our method get a result to answer the original question? So I started mine by restating the original question. The question was, how does height affect time to fall to floor? And then talk about the method changed the height and measured the time and therefore got us results, and we can see from our results that we have a pattern, etc., and trying to link it to science as well. And then this is the key bit, this next box. We're going to talk about strengths and limitations. So in class we were struggling with limitations, so I talked about these, and I gave a couple of examples, not necessarily the best, but they were there. Then I said, well, also we could talk about the height. We had a meter ruler against a wall, and we dropped a little helicopter from it, but the helicopter blades stuck out, so it made it hard to measure where the helicopter is dropping from, because it had to be away from the ruler. So that leads to an error. An improvement on that might be, they can come up with anything they want, like having a little stick that protrudes out from the ruler to mark it, or having someone put their hand there and hold it, or something like that. But you can also talk about strengths. Most of the students got really, really good results in their experiment. In fact, I think all of my groups did. Like, that is a strength. The fact they have a pattern, and that the points are close to the line, and that the repeats are all similar. These are all good strengths of repeats all similar. Like, that's a strength of it. And they can add more lines in underneath, or subtract them away if they don't feel like they have enough. So this table needs completing. Obviously, if it's a strength, there won't be improvements, and not a lot to say in the impact of reliability. They might not even do that. They could just talk about the strengths here. The final box is quite new to students. I've told mine it should be answered in 3 parts. The first sentence should suggest improvements for the experiment based on what you wrote in the table above. The second section should talk about how can we extend this experiment. We dropped it between 0.5 and 1.5 meters, because that can easily be achieved in a lab. But they could improve it by doing much bigger heights, like 4 to 6 meters, or even 30 to 100 meters. And they can suggest what they think might happen. They can even suggest how they might achieve dropping a small paper helicopter from 100 meters up, and how they might do that and what they might expect to happen. And then the final section is suggesting what could be done next to expand on the knowledge but around the same topic. So I suggested, our helicopters all had 2 blades on it. What would be the impact of 3, 4, 5, 6 helicopter blades? So a new experiment could be testing that out. And then they should suggest what they think will happen and try and include again, a bit of the science as to why they think that. They might need to do a little bit of research. Once it's all done, they should submit it to Toddle in the task that is in their ongoing, called Summative Class Home Helicopter. The only other one in their ongoing is a reflection from the criteria B that hopefully they've done, but not everyone has yet, because we will do another criteria B later in the year, and I want them to have something they can look back on and go, oh yeah, I need to remember to do this, or I need to remember to do that. I'll help them with that though. But yeah, submit it to the summative, the S task. It's due for Thursday the 9th at the end of the school day, so that I can start looking at it on the Friday. I don't really like students having to feel pressured in the evenings. I want them to be able to do it when they feel like. I found if I set a deadline for 8 p.m, they all do it that night and get stressed. But if I do 3 p.m, they do it in the week leading up and they're a little less stressed, although students do find summative stressful, and we know that, but let's just keep guiding them and helping them. So that's the task. I hope that makes sense. Please do email me if you have questions or you want some specific help. There should be some guidance on the formative. If they submitted their formative work for review, I've looked through it and given them specific individual suggestions of how they can improve.